Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sela Social Studies. Today we're going to be talking about transportation and communication out west during our second round of westward migration, or our manifest destiny. Now, the growth of the West created a need for communication across the country. Samuel Morse created the telegraph and the Morse code that could send a series of electronic dots and dashes to an operator 100 miles away. But there needed to be telegraph lines that would connect the east and the west coasts. Now, the Pony Express was an early attempt of quicker communication in the United States. Think of the Pony Express like today's mail system or a mailman. They would carry and deliver mail across the United States. Between 1860 and 1861, the Pony Express riders usually took around 10 days to carry messages on routes approximately 2,000 miles long. The horse ride from the east to the west was grueling, and for this reason the Pony Express would look for young, single, orphaned men. Now, the Pony Express ride was very dangerous, and some riders would die while they were on the trail. They could die from Native American attacks, diseases, snake bites, and among a whole nother group of things, whole group of other things. The riders would leave the East Coast on horseback and travel to the West. The riders would travel as fast as they can, as fast as the horse could gallop for a determined period of time. They would then arrive at a post office, and then they would just change horses. They would continue this trend until they reached their destination. The travel time from coast to coast had shortened the wait time from 30 days down to about 10. The Pony Express was popular for the 1 year that it lasted. Many Americans sent mail faster than they ever had before. However, a new and improved form of mail distribution was just over the horizon. With the quick building of the Transcontinental Railroad and the telegraph lines that were laid with it, they went together, the Pony Express was quickly replaced and shut down. Now, a demand for a railway that connected the East and the West began to grow. Americans wanted to ride one train from the East Coast to the West Coast, and that is exactly what they got. However, the rail companies needed lots of money and huge amounts of land to expand, and it was just too expensive to purchase the land and build the railroads. So the federal government and the rail companies compromised. In order for the rail companies to receive the land and the cash grants, they agreed to carry mail and troops at a lower cost than standard travel. In exchange for the cheap travel, Congress passed the Pacific Railway Acts of 1862 and 1864. The purpose of these acts was that the federal government would give railroad companies huge loans and expensive land grants. This was the fuel needed to stoke the transportation flame. In the race to complete a transcontinental railroad, the Central Pacific started in San Francisco, California, and worked east, and the Union Pacific started in Omaha, Nebraska, and worked west. Large numbers of immigrant groups like the Irish and the Chinese worked day and night on the railroads. There were many problems while working on the rail lines. Geography, like mountains and deserts, and weather posed many challenges to the building of the railroads, not to mention the faulty explosive that would sometimes explode too early, killing many men. On May 10th, 1869, the railroad lines met in Promontory, Utah, and the connection was celebrated by Leland Stanford driving a large golden railroad nail called the Golden Spike into the last rail tie. Celebrations erupted across the country, celebrating the connection of the United States through the railroad. The spike had since been removed and placed in a museum for safekeeping. Many other companies continued to build railroads throughout the West. Now, what was the effect of this railroad? Well, the railroad built America. Economic growth and population in the West increased drastically because of it. The railways provided better transportation for people and goods, and this encouraged people to move west. There were many positive effects of the completion of the railroad. The United States National Park System was created and expanded to the many pristine landscapes that were going to be protected for future generations to see. With the abundance of Americans traveling west to see the natural beauty, the railroad was the lead factor in expanding our population exponentially. The railroads became one of the country's biggest industries. The abundant amount of track that needed to be produced to lay resulted in the steel-making business booming, and many men were put to work. However, the meteoric rise of the railroads caused great speculation. People started to panic and businesses started to collapse. The Panic of 1873 was caused by the collapse of railroad owner Jay Cook's banking firm. This panic put many small westward railroad companies deeply in debt by the 1880s. This will be very evident in the Gilded Age. I'll see you next time.